All right, welcome back in. I'm going to continue my 32 and 32 with the Carolina Hurricanes. So as always, I like to display their each team's home jersey and their retro jersey. So for the Hurricanes, they obviously have the the black jersey. Oh my goodness. And they brought that jersey in 2018, 2019 campaign. The only reason I remember is because when they went on that miraculous Cinderella run to all the way to the Eastern Conference Final, that's their home jersey that they wore as their third jersey back then. But now they pretty much made that their home jersey going forward. As for the reverse retro jersey, I got to say I'm not as big a fan of it as some people might be. I believe there's only one team that can pull off having their name going at an angle, and that's the Rangers. And obviously, other teams have tried it. The only team that really comes to mind that has done that, but it hasn't been recently, was when Colorado did it back in like the mid 2000s. I think they had Avalanche, if I'm not mistaken, going across their jersey, the same thing. But yeah, I just think it's kind of like a copycat league, in my opinion. Uh, yeah, I'm not really digging the Kings reverse retro, I guess if you want to put it that way. So last season they finished with 52 wins, 21 regulation losses, and 9 overtime losses slash shootout losses for a total of 113 points. This is their second consecutive Metropolitan crown. And if you want to go back to the 2021 campaign, they won that division as well. That's when we had that crazy COVID pandemic and teams got realigned. So it wasn't a normal alignment, I guess you could say, when it came to the divisions. Um, so I guess I'll just get started on the signings that they have done thus far. Uh, for their goaltending tandem, they are both going to stay. They have Antti Ranta. He is signed for 1 more year. And his buddy Freddie Anderson is signed for 2 more seasons. So at least going into this upcoming year, they're guaranteed to have the same goalies as they did this past season as a 1-2 tandem. Dmitry Orlov is coming over from the Boston Bruins. He only played part of a season there after he was traded away from the Washington Capitals. He has signed a 2 year contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. Michael Bunting, I'm sure a lot of people are skeptical about this, but he's one of those guys. He's kind of like a Brad Marchand where he can get under your skin and he can draw penalties, but he can also light up the lamp from time to time. So I believe it's a pretty decent signing for the Hurricanes. It's always nice to have someone with an edge on your team. And to be completely honest, if he was on your favorite team, you would love him. But obviously, if he's playing against you, he's the kind of guy that you're not probably that big a fan of, as I'm sure most people feel. They have brought back, I believe it's defenseman. If I can just pull up, where is it? Dylan Coughlin. He has signed a 1 year, 2 way contract for the Carolina Hurricanes. He played in, I think, only a handful of games last season, but he is coming back on a 1 year deal. Brandon Lemieux is coming over from the Philadelphia Flyers. He split last season with the Los Angeles Kings and Philadelphia Flyers, and I had a funny feeling he was not going to be sticking around in the city of brotherly love, considering that he's one of those guys that's I'm sure probably didn't click that well when it came to playing with John Tortorella. And I mean, I can't really say I blame him because who really can play for Tortorella unless you have really, 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 really thick skin. So he's coming over on a 1 year contract. And what else they got? They've actually brought back Tony D'Angelo, which I got to say, this guy's been, how do you put it? Uh, Somewhat controversial, if you want to put it. He's been kind of bouncing around the league. He did play for the Hurricanes prior to this signing, but yeah. So he's coming over from the Philadelphia Flyers as well on a 1 year deal. So we'll see if he can redeem himself back in Carolina. And then the other defenseman is Caleb Jones, and he's coming over from the Chicago Blackhawks, leaving his brother, oh my goodness, Seth Jones, in the Windy City. So he's coming over on a 1 year deal as well. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at the rosters and we'll see who all is sticking around and who has left and who is potentially still a free agent. So just bear with me and we'll go over to the rosters and we will see what we got for the Hurricanes. So I'm just going to adjust this so I know it's a little blurry now, but patient. There we go. You can see faces and names. This is always good. So obviously Sebastian Aho ain't going anywhere, but he is coming into his last year of his contract. So I can only imagine what he's going to be asking for by the end of the season, or maybe even throughout the season. Brent Burns is going to be in his second year with the Hurricanes, and he has 2 more years left on his deal there. Where are we? Jalen Chatfield. He has. Has he re-signed? Maybe gone. He's gone somewhere else. No, I don't see his name. That's odd. Okay, so there's no news on Jason Chatfield, but I feel like he probably did resign. Calvin Dahan, he has signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jack Drury has 1 more left to go on his contract. Jesper Fast. I feel like he's also re-signed, but it just doesn't show on here for some reason. Jake Gardner is a free agent, still has yet to be re-signed or signed by anyone. Shane Gostisbehere, he has signed with the Detroit Red Wings. Seth Jarvis has 1 more year left to go on his contract. Henri Casse has. Oh, he's signed with the Czech Extrelia, so he's not even playing in NHL this year. So, Jesperi Kotkaniemi has 7 more years left to go on his contract. Mackenzie McKirkin has signed with the St. Louis Blues, so he's back in St. Louis organization. Jordan Martinook has 1 more year left to go on his contract. Martinisis has 1 more year left to go on his deal as well. Stefan Nosen, his contract has expired, but I do believe he has signed a 1-year contract for $765,000. Max Pacioretty has left Carolina. He is signed with the Washington Capitals. Brett Pesce has 1 more year left to go on his deal. Jesse Puljujarvi has yet to be re-signed or signed by anyone, and I got to say, this guy, I think, my honest opinion, he's probably done in the NHL. At best, he might get a 2-way contract, in my personal opinion, but he has not lived up to his hype ever since he was drafted by the Oilers. I want to say, 5-6 years ago. And Brett Shea has 1 more left to go on his contract. Brady Shea, I do apologize, has 1 more left to go on his contract. Jacob Slavin has 2 more years left to go on his deal. And what else do we got? Jordan Staal has re-signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, and if I'm going to be completely honest, he's probably going to finish out his tenure there and his career in Carolina. Paul Stastny, along with Derek Stepan, are both still free agents. Neither player has signed with anyone as of yet, so it'll be interesting to see as the season goes along if any of those 2 guys do get signed. And Andrei Svechnikov has 6 more years left to go on his contract. So what I'll do is let's go back to the window that I was in, and I'll pretty much just make my prediction as to where I believe this team will sit by the end of the year. Okay, so we're back to this window. There, I'll just leave the logos up this time. So, coming into this upcoming year, I have a funny feeling that the Hurricanes are probably going to be three-peating, if I want to be completely honest with you, when it comes to the Metropolitan Division crown. The team is just stacked from head to toe, in my opinion. They have all the forward, they have all the defensive depth, and then the goaltending tandem between Ranta and Anderson. I believe they should be as competitive, if not more competitive, this year. So last year when the playoffs came around, they played the Islanders in the first round. They beat them in 6 games. And then they torched to the Devils in 5 games, only to be swept by the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Final. Now the strange stat is this is the 3rd straight time they've made it to the Eastern Conference Final, and they got swept in each of those matchups. 2009 they got swept by the Penguins. 2019 they got swept by the Bruins, and then this past season they got swept by the Florida Panthers. So it's not a matter of if they can get to the Eastern Conference Final. It's a matter of can they get over that hump, get at least a win in the Eastern Conference Final, and potentially pursue another Stanley Cup. That's the only what if in my personal opinion. I believe this team is strong enough. They should get through the first couple of rounds. It's just a matter of can they get over that 3rd round hump? Can they finally get back to the Stanley Cup final for the first time since 2006, which was their only. Sorry, they've had 2 appearances in the Stanley Cup final, 2002 and 2006. But can they get back to the Stanley Cup final for the first time since their 06 run? That's the only question, in my personal opinion. Other than that, I believe the team's all stacked and all set to be playoff bound once again. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, take care.